Before 1978, China presented a vastly different image to the world than it does today. It was a nation largely characterized by profound poverty and deep international isolation, a sleeping giant yet to stir. For decades, political turmoil, including the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, had inflicted immense suffering and severely hampered economic development. The vast majority of its enormous population lived in rural areas, engaged in subsistence agriculture with limited tools and technology. Cities, while historically significant, lacked modern infrastructure and the dynamism that would later define them. The dream of national rejuvenation seemed distant, almost an impossible aspiration for a country struggling with basic necessities. Following the communist victory in 1949, the People's Republic of China faced diplomatic isolation from many Western powers. Its relationship with the Soviet Union, initially close, had deteriorated significantly by the 1960s, leaving China with few powerful allies. Global trade and investment were minimal, with the country pursuing a policy of self-reliance that further constrained its economic potential. The world, for the most part, moved on its own trajectory, with China existing on the periphery of global economic and technological advancements. This period was marked by a sense of looking inward, a stark contrast to the outward-facing nation it would become. Internally, the state controlled nearly all aspects of economic life. Central planning dictated production quotas, resource allocation, and employment, often leading to inefficiencies and shortages. Individual initiative was suppressed, and the entrepreneurial spirit lay dormant. The iron rice bowl system, promising cradle-to-grave security, also stifled innovation and competition. For the average citizen, life was a struggle, with limited access to consumer goods, opportunities for advancement, or information about the outside world. The contrast with the bustling consumer societies of developed nations could not have been more pronounced, a reality known to only a select few within China's leadership. This era of isolation and hardship, however, also laid the groundwork for a profound desire for change. The collective memory of poverty and international weakness would become a powerful motivator for the reforms that were to come. The realization that China was falling further behind the rest of the world gnawed at the leadership. The potential of its vast population and rich history remained untapped, waiting for a new direction, a new vision. The stage was set for one of the most dramatic economic transformations in human history, a journey that would reshape not only China but the entire global order in ways few could have imagined at the time. The year 1978 marked a pivotal turning point in China's modern history. Deng Xiaoping, a pragmatic leader who had himself experienced the vicissitudes of Chinese politics, initiated a series of bold economic reforms. These reforms were designed to move China away from rigid Maoist doctrines and towards a more market-oriented economy. The primary goal was to modernize the country and improve the living standards of its people. Deng famously stated, "It doesn't matter if a cat is black or white as long as it catches mice," signaling a shift towards pragmatism over ideology. This new approach set in motion an era of unprecedented change, an awakening that would see China rapidly integrate into the global economy. A cornerstone of Deng's strategy was the open-door policy. This policy actively welcomed foreign investment, technology, and managerial expertise, things China desperately needed. To facilitate this, special economic zones were established in coastal areas, starting with Shenzhen, Zhuhai, and Shantou in Guangdong Province, and Xiamen in Fujian Province. These zones offered preferential policies, tax incentives, and reduced bureaucracy to attract foreign businesses. Shenzhen, a small fishing village bordering Hong Kong, was chosen as a key laboratory for these experiments. It was a gamble, a controlled exposure to capitalist methods within a socialist state, carefully managed yet revolutionary in its implications for China's future. The reforms were not a sudden embrace of pure capitalism, but rather a gradual, experimental process often described as crossing the river by feeling the stones. Alongside attracting foreign capital, agricultural reforms were implemented, decollectivizing farming and allowing households to profit from their surplus production. This significantly boosted food output and improved rural incomes, providing a crucial foundation of stability and popular support for further reforms. The government maintained strong control over key sectors and the overall direction of the economy, a model that came to be known as socialism with Chinese characteristics. This unique blend allowed for dynamism while ensuring the Communist Party retained its political dominance. The impact of these initial reforms was transformative. Foreign companies, initially hesitant, began to see the potential of China's vast labor pool and growing market. Investment flowed in, bringing with it new technologies and business practices. Factories began to sprout in the special economic zones, producing goods for export. This marked the beginning of China's ascent as a manufacturing powerhouse. The decision to open up was not just an economic one, it was a strategic choice to learn from the world, to engage with it, and ultimately, to reshape China's place within it. The dragon was indeed awakening, and its stirring would soon be felt across the globe. China's transformation into an industrial giant was fueled by a confluence of factors, expertly harnessed by government planning and the sheer scale of its human resources. The country's enormous population provided a virtually inexhaustible supply of low-cost labor, making it an attractive destination for manufacturers looking to reduce production costs. As foreign investment poured in, particularly into the special economic zones, factories mushroomed, initially focusing on textiles, toys, and simple electronics. This export-oriented manufacturing model became the engine of China's rapid economic growth through the 1980s and 90s. The government played a crucial role by investing heavily in basic infrastructure, ports, roads, and power generation, to support this industrial expansion. Shenzhen stands as the most potent symbol of this industrial metamorphosis. In just a few decades, it transformed from a sleepy fishing village into a sprawling metropolis, a global hub for technology and manufacturing. Its proximity to Hong Kong provided access to capital, expertise, and international markets. The success of Shenzhen was replicated to varying degrees in other coastal cities and regions, creating vast industrial belts like the Pearl River Delta and the Yangtze River Delta. These areas became magnets for migrant workers from the poorer inland provinces, leading to unprecedented urbanization in human history. This rapid development, while creating immense wealth, also brought significant social and environmental challenges. Beyond light manufacturing, China strategically moved up the value chain, investing in heavy industry, automotive production, and high-technology sectors. Government five-year plans meticulously outline national priorities, directing resources towards strategic industries and infrastructure projects. One of the most ambitious examples of this state-led development is the construction of the world's most extensive high-speed rail network. In little over a decade, China built tens of thousands of kilometers of high-speed railway lines, connecting its major cities and facilitating the movement of people and goods with remarkable efficiency. This feat not only showcased China's engineering prowess, but also significantly boosted economic integration within the country. The label "Workshop of the World" became synonymous with China. Its factories produced a vast array of goods consumed globally, from everyday household items to components for sophisticated electronic devices. This manufacturing dominance brought enormous economic benefits, lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty and creating a burgeoning middle class. However, it also made the world heavily reliant on Chinese supply chains. This reliance, initially seen as a purely economic phenomenon, would later develop significant geopolitical implications as China's economic might translated into broader global influence. The scale and speed of this industrialization were breathtaking, fundamentally altering the global economic landscape. As China's economic engine roared, its ambitions and influence naturally extended beyond its borders. The immense wealth generated by its manufacturing prowess provided the resources for a more assertive foreign policy and a significant expansion of its global footprint. No longer content with being merely the workshop of the world, Beijing began to leverage its economic power to cultivate diplomatic ties, project military strength, and spread its technological innovations. This transition marked a new phase in China's rise, transforming it from a regional economic player into a genuine global force, with interests and impact spanning every continent. The world watched as China confidently stepped onto the international stage, ready to reshape existing norms and institutions. A flagship initiative symbolizing this expanded global reach is the Belt and Road Initiative, announced in 2013. This ambitious global infrastructure development strategy involves Chinese investment in railways, ports, highways, and energy projects across numerous countries in Asia, Africa, Europe, and beyond. Promoted as a way to enhance connectivity and foster shared development, the Belt and Road Initiative also serves to secure trade routes, access natural resources, and create new markets for Chinese goods and services. While many participating countries have welcomed the investment, The initiative has also faced criticism regarding debt sustainability, environmental impact, and the potential for increasing China's geopolitical leverage. Alongside economic outreach, China embarked on a comprehensive modernization of its military, the People's Liberation Army. For decades, the PLA had relied on large numbers but relatively outdated equipment. The new economic prosperity funded significant investments in advanced weaponry, including aircraft carriers, stealth fighters, modern naval vessels, and sophisticated missile systems. The focus shifted towards developing capabilities for power projection and protecting China's growing overseas interests, including its vital shipping lanes. This military buildup has understandably caused unease among its neighbors and established powers like the United States, leading to a complex new security dynamic in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. The global spread of Chinese technology companies also became a key vector of its expanding influence. Firms like Huawei and ZTE became major players in telecommunications infrastructure worldwide, offering competitive and often state-subsidized solutions for fifth-generation networks. Other tech giants in e-commerce, artificial intelligence, and digital payments also began to make inroads internationally. While this technological expansion brought innovation and competition, it also raised concerns in some countries about data security, intellectual property theft, and the potential for technological dependencies on China. This multifaceted expansion, economic, diplomatic, military, and technological, signaled China's arrival as a superpower with a truly global reach and complex implications for the existing world order. Internally, China's economic liberalization was not accompanied by political loosening. Instead, the Communist Party sought innovative ways to maintain and strengthen its control in an increasingly complex society. The rise of the internet and digital technologies presented both a challenge and an opportunity. The state responded by constructing one of the world's most sophisticated systems of digital surveillance and control, often described as a digital panopticon. This system leverages cutting-edge technologies, including artificial intelligence and big data, to monitor citizens, shape public opinion, and preempt perceived threats to social stability and party rule. It is a uniquely 21st-century approach to governance, integrating technology deeply into the mechanisms of state power. The Great Firewall of China is perhaps the most well-known component of this digital apparatus, a vast system of internet censorship that blocks access to foreign websites and platforms deemed undesirable by the government. Beyond simply blocking, the system also allows authorities to monitor online conversations and identify dissenting voices. This is complemented by the Golden Shield Project, a massive nationwide surveillance network that includes millions of CCTV cameras, many equipped with facial recognition technology. These cameras are increasingly integrated with AI algorithms capable of identifying individuals, tracking their movements, and even analyzing their behavior in real time across entire cities. Artificial intelligence plays a crucial role in processing the immense volumes of data collected. AI algorithms are used for predictive policing, attempting to identify potential troublemakers before they act. In regions like Xinjiang, these technologies have been deployed extensively as part of a controversial campaign targeting the Uyghur population, drawing international condemnation. The aim is not just reactive control, but proactive social engineering, guiding citizen behavior towards officially sanctioned norms. This extensive data collection encompasses online activities, financial transactions, travel records, and social interactions, creating comprehensive digital profiles of individuals for state scrutiny and analysis. Perhaps the most discussed and often misunderstood element is the nascent social credit system. While not yet a single unified national system, various pilot programs aim to rate the trustworthiness of citizens and businesses. Good behavior such as paying debts on time or volunteering can lead to rewards like easier access to loans or travel perks. Conversely, bad behavior such as traffic violations, defaulting on payments, or even perceived antisocial conduct can result in penalties like travel restrictions, slower internet speeds, or exclusion from certain jobs. The system aims to incentivize conformity and obedience, further solidifying state control through a pervasive, digitally mediated system of rewards and punishments. As China consolidated its digital governance model domestically, it also began to export elements of its approach, along with the requisite technologies, to other countries around the world. This digital authoritarianism package often includes surveillance equipment, AI-powered monitoring software, facial recognition systems, and training for foreign government officials in public opinion management and internet control. This exportation is frequently framed under the umbrella of the Digital Silk Road, an extension of the Belt and Road Initiative focusing on telecommunications infrastructure, smart city projects, and e-commerce. For China, this offers new markets for its tech companies and an opportunity to shape global norms around internet governance and digital surveillance. Several factors make China's model and technologies attractive to certain governments. For authoritarian regimes or countries struggling with internal security challenges, these tools offer powerful means to monitor populations, suppress dissent, and maintain political stability. Chinese companies often provide these technologies at lower costs than Western competitors, sometimes bundled with attractive financing packages. Furthermore, China promotes its model as a path to development that does not require adherence to Western-style liberal democracy, an appealing proposition for leaders wary of external pressure regarding human rights or political reforms. The promise of order and control, technologically enhanced, resonates with governments prioritizing state power. The implications of this export are significant. It contributes to the proliferation of sophisticated surveillance capabilities globally, potentially enabling human rights abuses in countries with weak legal protections and limited oversight. The spread of these technologies can also lead to the fragmentation of the internet, with more countries adopting restrictive internet governance models, similar to China's Great Firewall. This creates challenges for global internet freedom, data privacy, and the free flow of information. International organizations and civil society groups have raised alarms about the potential for these tools to be used to target journalists, activists, and opposition figures in various nations. Moreover, by exporting its technological standards and governance philosophies, China is actively competing with the Western-led liberal democratic order. It offers an alternative developmental path, one where economic growth can be paired with stringent state control, legitimized by narratives of security and efficiency. This ideological competition is playing out in international forums and in the choices made by developing nations seeking partners for their modernization efforts. The adoption of Chinese digital infrastructure and surveillance systems can create long-term dependencies, subtly aligning recipient countries more closely with Beijing's sphere of influence and its vision for global governance in the digital age. The influence of Chinese technology is no longer confined to infrastructure or niche markets. It has permeated daily life globally, profoundly shaping culture, communication, and commerce. Perhaps the most visible example of this cultural impact is TikTok, the short-form video app owned by ByteDance. With its powerful recommendation algorithm and user-friendly interface, TikTok has captivated hundreds of millions of users worldwide, particularly among younger generations. It has become a launchpad for new trends in music, dance, fashion, and even social activism, demonstrating how a Chinese-developed platform can dictate global cultural conversations and reshape the entertainment landscape far beyond China's borders. Beyond social media, Chinese companies are major players in the hardware and software that underpin our digital lives. Companies like Huawei, despite facing geopolitical headwinds, remain significant suppliers of telecommunications equipment and consumer electronics. Brands such as Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo have captured substantial shares of the global smartphone market, offering feature-rich devices at competitive prices. DJI dominates the civilian drone market with its products used in everything from filmmaking and agriculture to surveying and emergency response. The innovation and rapid iteration cycles of these companies mean that Chinese technology is increasingly setting, rather than just following global trends, in consumer electronics. The global supply chain is another area where China's technological and manufacturing capabilities have an immense daily impact. From the components inside our computers and smartphones to finished goods ranging from home appliances to solar panels, a significant portion is either manufactured in China or relies on Chinese-made parts. This deep integration means that disruptions in China, whether due to pandemics, trade disputes, or internal policies, can have ripple effects across the global economy, affecting product availability and prices for consumers everywhere. The world's reliance on China as a manufacturing hub underscores its critical role in the intricate web of global commerce that touches almost every aspect of modern consumption. Furthermore, Chinese e-commerce platforms and payment systems are expanding their international presence. Alibaba's AliExpress and Temu, owned by PDD Holdings, offer direct-to-consumer shipping worldwide, challenging established online retailers with low prices and a vast selection of goods. While digital payment systems like Alipay and WeChat Pay are predominantly used within China or by Chinese tourists abroad, their underlying technology and business models offer insights and competitive pressure for financial tech companies globally. The sheer scale of China's domestic digital economy provides a vast testing ground for innovations that are increasingly finding their way onto the global stage, subtly and overtly changing how we shop, communicate, and interact with technology daily. China's ascent as a digital and technological superpower has created a world more intertwined than ever before, but also one fraught with new complexities and tensions. The deep integration of Chinese technology into global networks, supply chains, and consumer markets presents both opportunities and significant challenges for other nations. On one hand, Chinese innovation offers competitive products, drives down prices, and provides alternative solutions in areas like telecommunications and renewable energy. This competition can spur further technological advancement globally. The scale of China's market also remains a powerful magnet for international businesses, fostering economic interdependence that can, in theory, promote stability and shared prosperity. However, this interdependence is not without its risks. Concerns about data security and privacy are paramount, particularly with the global expansion of Chinese tech platforms and infrastructure. Governments in many countries are grappling with how to manage the potential for sensitive data to be accessed by the Chinese state, given China's national security laws that can compel companies to cooperate with intelligence services. This has led to restrictions or bans on certain Chinese technologies, most notably Huawei's fifth-generation equipment in several Western nations. The challenge lies in balancing the economic benefits of engagement with the imperative to protect national security and citizens' digital rights in an era of heightened tech rivalry. The rise of China's digital capabilities also fuels intense geostrategic competition, particularly with the United States. This rivalry extends across various domains, including the development of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, and the setting of global technical standards. The concept of techno-nationalism is gaining traction, where countries prioritize domestic technological development and seek to reduce dependencies on potential adversaries. This can lead to a bifurcated global tech ecosystem, with competing Chinese and Western-led spheres of influence, potentially hindering global collaboration and slowing down innovation. Navigating this new landscape requires careful diplomacy and a clear understanding of national interests. For businesses and consumers, the implications are manifold. Companies face increasing pressure to navigate complex geopolitical landscapes, diversify supply chains, and comply with varying regulatory environments. Consumers may find their choices of technology influenced by national security considerations or trade policies. The seamless global digital environment that many had envisioned is increasingly fragmented by geopolitical fault lines. Ultimately, the world must find ways to manage the complexities of China's digital dominance, fostering cooperation where possible, while safeguarding core values and interests in an era defined by both unprecedented connectivity and new forms of competition. China's transformation from an isolated, impoverished nation to a global digital superpower in just a few decades is a truly world-changing story. It has lifted hundreds of millions of its own citizens out of poverty, reshaped global trade, and established itself as a leader in critical, next-generation technologies. This journey, driven by bold economic reforms, strategic state planning, and the embrace of the digital age, has fundamentally altered the international balance of power. The code that China has written, both in terms of software and its unique model of development and control, has indeed changed the world, presenting both opportunities and profound challenges that will define the 21st century. The nature of China's power is multifaceted. It is economic, evident in its manufacturing might, and the global reach of initiatives like the Belt and Road. It is increasingly military, with a modernized People's Liberation Army capable of projecting force far beyond its shores. Crucially, and perhaps most distinctively, it is digital. China has not only built a formidable domestic digital infrastructure and surveillance state, but is also actively exporting its technologies and a corresponding governance model. This digital dimension of its power, from TikTok's cultural sway to the potential for AI-driven surveillance systems to be adopted globally, introduces new dynamics into international relations and raises fundamental questions about privacy, freedom, and sovereignty. The world is now grappling with how to adapt to this new reality. For decades, the prevailing assumption in many Western capitals was that economic engagement would lead China towards political liberalization. This has not materialized. Instead, China has demonstrated that economic prosperity can be achieved alongside, and even enhanced by, a sophisticated authoritarian system powered by digital tools. This presents an ideological challenge to liberal democracies and forces a re-evaluation of strategies for engagement, competition, and cooperation with Beijing. There are no easy answers, as nations balance economic interests with security concerns and values. The final chapter of this story is yet to be written. How will the international community respond to China's new kind of power, one that seamlessly blends economic influence with technological prowess and a distinct model of governance? Will the world find a way to integrate China's strengths constructively, fostering a global system that is both stable and respects diverse values? Or will competition and mistrust lead to deeper divisions and a more fractured global order? The choices made by leaders, businesses, and citizens around the globe in the coming years will determine the trajectory of this new era, shaping the future for generations to come. The question remains open, and the stakes could not be higher.